Hello, welcome to another episode of Deck Musings. So today is a very good day because it's the day when I record all my Magic the Gathering videos, and I've got a book on order from Amazon. I've got a book on film studies that should be arriving today, so I'm looking forward to that. So where are we in the grand scheme of things in terms of the standard stroke block constructed meta? We're here. So we're in that interesting spot where, you know, core sets at that point in Magic's history were in for 2 years. So we have this interesting period where you go from 8th edition to 9th edition, and standard looks like this. So we've got 2 blocks and a core set, and that runs from August the 20th, in this case 2005, to October 19th 2005. But what's also interesting, and I thought I'd, compare and contrast here, it's a good opportunity. I don't think I've done this before. So if we compare it with the period from June the 20th to August the 19th, so the sort of quarter before that, you've got the same 2 blocks, but obviously a different core set. So there's this whole period from June 20th to October 19th where, the card pool is at its largest in terms of standard. And you can see there's a little bit of change here as we swap between the core sets. And if you dig deeper, you'll see why that is. There's more duplicates between, the cards that are in the 2 blocks and 9th edition because it's reprints, and possibly even, that this between themselves wouldn't change between this and this. So any changes to duplicates is going to be because of the swapping over the core set. And you can see the number of duplicates has actually gone up from being 4 to being 29. So cards that are duplications from cards that are already there in some form or another. Banned cards haven't changed. So where else has this changed? Well, you can see 9th edition there's 339 cards, and 8th edition there's 337. So if you take all of that into account, the difference between this and this, which is a difference of 25 less, I think that would be, you can start getting down to this figure, considering 9th edition is slightly bigger, but there's more duplicates. So we get down to 1,533 from 1,556. We're going to be looking at the Canadian Nationals. We'll have a look into what specifically, which one. And we're going to be looking at a variation on this. I think it's not mono black rats. It's called something else, and we'll see in a moment what that is. So maybe we'll just dive in now. Actually, why wait any longer? So 2005 Nationals, Calgary, Canada, and you can see in the top 8 there are an awful lot of Viridian Rat decks. In fact, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of the top 8, and 2 of these Bluetooth decks. And you'll notice that in this case, Viridian Rats is black-green, and that's partially, I think, if not, well, we'll see in a moment. But you can probably guess by the naming of the deck what the sort of one of the components is in this deck apart from rats. What's also really cool, and I quickly went through, and I think I'm right here, but if you look at the list of things, so we've got both Mirrodin blocks, both the Mirrodin block and the Kamigawa block, and 9th edition. I'm pretty sure through eyeballing this when I went through the deck when I was setting up, we have at least 1 card from each of those sets, which is super cool. So this was a standard event, and it had yeah, that standard at its largest, or during the period which is its largest. So it's nice to see a deck like this. Obviously, like I pointed out, it was slightly larger when 8th was there, but within 25 or so cards. So yeah, I quite like this feature here, because what's nice about this is you can just click here and you're sort of straight into the deck in question without sort of jumping out to another website, or another page. And just looking in overview, you can see I'm going to look at, this is the deck I'm going to look at, so we'll go through in a bit more detail in a moment. But you can see quite a bit going on here in terms of like I said, choices of cards from different sets. And here's the sideboard down here. And obviously these Viridian rat decks are just going to be, variations on a theme here. Maybe slightly different. Sideboard, certainly you might see, although there might be, similar artifacts selection, you may find that the sorcery instant selection could be slightly different. Anyway, I'll include a link to this, so anybody that really loves going through this sort of stuff and like cross comparing this, similar decks from the same event, can do that and just see how that pans out. We got Bluetooth, which is, you can see here, looks suspiciously like some sort of blue artifact thing, and again there's a variation of that. I like how it has the pricings here as well. It's really useful. I don't know what the cheapest version here of the deck we're looking at is. Let's have a quick look. Scan down. Oh, here's one for 137.65. Okay, so let's actually look at the deck. Here we are. So this is the winning deck. Right, let's go through this then. So we have 10 artifacts. We have 4 Aether Vials, 1 drop, and at the beginning of your upkeep you may put a charge counter on Aether Vial. Tap, you may put a creature card with converted mana cost equal to the number of charge counters on Aether Vial from your hand into play. So it's going to be interesting to see what our creature curve looks like. And because this is a May, you're basically here, you know what's in your hand. So, you're obviously adjusting the charge counters to best fit what you want to do. We've got 2 Pithing Needles. Interesting to see Pithing Needle has been mainboarded. 1 to cast. As it comes into play, name a card. Activated abilities of the named card can't be played unless they're mana abilities. So you've got a disruptor here to disrupt your opponent's strategy. Particularly useful if you're going up against a combo deck, because you can nerf if that combo deck specifically relies on activated abilities on there. That's the thing. So it's stopping the activated abilities. It's not stopping the card from being played, it's stopping the activated abilities from being played, from being used, unless they're mana abilities, as it says. So like any combo deck that is reliant on an activated ability on one of the cards, that's going to interrupt with, but also For non-combo decks, it just slow down a synergy or slow down the general theme of the deck. Again, if the deck is, you know, fueled in some way or really relies on an activated ability of certain cards to really help with that deck. So we got 4 Umezawa's Jitte, 2 to cast. We've seen this before in another tournament deck. As I pointed out, and I don't think we looked at it, but it was also, I believe, in one of the theme decks, I think, if I'm right on that. I think that's right. So whenever equipped creature deals combat damage, put 2 charge counters on Umezawa's Jitte. Remove a charge counter from Umezawa's Jitte, choose 1. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Or target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn, or you gain 2 life and equip for 2. So here's our creature package, 21 here. So we start off with the 2 drops. So we've got 4 2 drops, another 4, then we got 3, 6. Okay, so it looks like here we've got what, 9 3 drops. Only 3 drop creatures, and then 2 4 drops and 2 6 drops. So it's a nice curve. You can see here the amount of creatures, the amount of copies here, and the amount sort of total on the curve. How that works as you get sort of higher up the mana curve, and where the sort of utility of the deck is on the creatures, like what are we sort of aiming for here? Now, of course, it's interesting because we've got our friend Aether Vial here. So, how long is it before we're going to get, say, 3 charge counters on there? And get, start getting this stuff out. And of course we can choose where we stop in terms of putting charge counters on this, because it's a May at the beginning of your upkeep. What else do we need to think about in terms of the interaction here? Yeah, so it has to be exactly equal. It's not on some cards where you see, has to be equal to or less than, or at least, or something like that. Okay, so what do we have? So 1 and a black, 4 of these Nezumi Shortfangs, and on here we have the activated ability 1 and a black, tap target opponent. He said target creature. Target opponent discards a card. Then if that player has no cards in hand, flip Nezumi Shortfang. And it flips to Stab Whisker the Odious. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, that player loses 1 life for each card fewer than 3 in his or her hand. So we've got some interesting hand disruption going on there. So yeah. So in this form, we get to keep annoying the opponent by getting them discarding cards. If they then have no cards in hand, flips to this, and at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, that player loses 1 life for each card fewer than 3 in his or her hand. So we're sort of depleting it, and then we're trying it, hoping that it's going to stay low still. And now I don't have a massive amount of card draw, so we can keep draining our life. Also, of course, if we've got multiple of these in play, then yeah, they're going to help each other out in terms of when you've got, say, a Stab Whisker, it's flipped to a Stab Whisker, and then you have one that's still in the Nezumi Shortfang form. So yeah, but you'll see here, other cards here that are working with this. So we've got 4 Ravenous Rats, 1 in the black, it's a 1/1. When Ravenous Rats comes into play, target opponent discards a card. 3 Chittering Rats. So we're up to the next point on the curve. 1 and 2 black. It's a 2/2. When it comes into play, target opponent puts a card from his or her hand on top of his or her library. Then we've got 3 Hypnotic Specters. One of my favourite cards in Magic, as you probably know from other things we've spoken about. But if you remember back to the No Hand, No Land, we had the sort of old school version of this. So this is different artwork in 9th edition. Different from, that sort of artwork that appeared in, way back in the early days of Magic. So 1 and 2 blacks, a 2/2 with flying. So 2/2, 3-drop with flying. Pretty cool. And also, whenever it deals damage to an opponent, that player discards a card at random. So that's a pretty powerful card. So we got then 3 Viridian Shamans. It's 2 and a green, 2/2. When Viridian Shaman comes into play, destroy target artifact. So obviously very useful in the meta when you've got both a block which was heavily artifact based and another block which sort of added to the artifact pool because there was, interesting equipment kicking around in Champions, in the Champions block. Sorry, the Kamigawa block, should I say. Yep. However you want to think about that. So we've got 2 Nekrataals. So 2 and 2 black, 2/1, first strike. When it comes into play, destroy target non-artifact, non-black creature. That creature can't be regenerated. Another cool card. This is going to be interesting when we get into the second part of these episodes where we start drilling down. There's lots of really cool cards which have this sort of come into play, then destroy effect on them, which crop up quite a bit in Commander. And then we've got 2 Inkai's Servant of Oni. I think we've seen this before in a previous episode. 4 and 2 blacks, a 5/4. It does have this ninjutsu ability on it. So 3 and 2 black. Return an unblocked attacker you control to hand. Put this card into play from your hand, tapped and attacking. Whenever Inkai's Servant of Oni deals combat damage to a player, you may put target creature card from that player's graveyard into play under your control. 1 and a black, regenerate Inkai's. Cool. We got 3 instants, 3 copies of Rend Flesh. It's 2 and a black, destroy target non-spirit creature. I love these black removal cards, which are very set specific, but then become really useful outside of the set in eternal formats where what is the likelihood of, say, an opponent running say spirits, and we see it's been that in other sets where it might be non-elves. I think was around the time of Lorwyn, wasn't there a green-black removal card that did that? Blight something, I believe. So again, we'll have a look at this. So I'm really excited about this episode actually. So we get to look at these selective removals, which once they are in formats outside of this meta, to me they seem to become more powerful because there's a reduction in the chance of you coming across a deck where it would be the case that someone was running a spirit creature, so you wouldn't be able to destroy it. Interesting land base here. So we got 23 land. There's only 12 swamps in here. We're running a lot of additional utility, and there's a bit of fixing going on so we can play. This is our only, we'll see when we get to the sideboard, but at the moment in the mainboard configuration, Viridian Shaman, so we're only running anything here that's going to be generating green mana for the purposes of casting that Viridian Shaman, which is a 3-drop. yeah, it's interesting mana base. This is it's cool to see how this is dealt with. So we've got 4 Blinkmoth Nexuses, Nexi, however you're supposed to say that. You can see some pretty expensive land base here. So yeah, we got 4 of these. Yeah, so you can tap them, add colourless to your mana pool. 1, so for a cost of 1, Blinkmoth Nexus becomes a 1/1 Blinkmoth artifact creature with flying until end of turn. It's still a land. So you can change it to a 1/1 and tap it. A target Blinkmoth gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So you can use it to buff another Blinkmoth creature, which in this deck, I'm assuming, and I haven't looked at the sideboard yet, is only going to be another Blinkmoth Nexus that you've made become a 1/1 Blinkmoth artifact creature with flying. 4 Llanowar Wastes, courtesy of 9th edition. I think there was one card in here, maybe at least, where I could have shown either artwork. You know, it was both in 9th edition and in one of the other sets as well. I just can't remember which particular card it was. So we've got 4 Llanowar Wastes, tap, add colours to your mana pool. So the nice thing with this particular dual land is, you know, if you just want colourless mana, then there's no downside. And it's only when you want the black or the green, then it deals you 1 damage. So I quite like these sort of dual lands where, you know, you can get mana out of it as long as it's you know, colourless mana, and there's no downside. But that's one of the ways we're going to fix in the deck for green, for our 1 green creature in the main deck. And we've got 1 copy of this, which is a legendary land, so it makes sense that there's, you know, 1 copy. Tap, add black to your mana pool. Black tap, target legendary creature gains fear until end of turn. So at the moment, how many legendary creatures do we have in here? Well, we do have this, Inkai's Servant of Oni. And yeah, that's something else I didn't point out here when I was talking about, you know, Nezumi Shortfang in this form helping Stab Whisker the Odious in this form. Of course, you have to be careful because when it switches from here to here, it becomes a legendary creature. So you just got to be careful because you're going to have Nezumi Shortfangs turning into Stab Whisker the Odious. And of course, if you've got multiple copies of it, or you've got more than 1 copy, then you're going to be, you know, run into the legendary creature rule. So yeah, so that's something to bear in mind. But what this does is it gives a legendary creature fear. So yeah, so this one, and if it happens to be in this form, get fear. 12 swamps. I pulled out the one from 9th edition because we haven't seen those yet. This is probably one of my favourite swamps, actually, this artwork. Yeah, so always good exercise to do this, and it's a way to sort of, you know, not that I do it deliberately to encourage comments, but it's nice when people interact with the videos through the comment section. But anybody remember what set that comes from? Yeah, so, but yeah, if indeed it does. Yeah, I really like this land. Very cool. And then we got Tendo Ice Bridge. 2 of those. When it comes into play, it comes into play, with a charge counter on it. Tap, add colourless to your mana pool. So the nice thing with this as well, it doesn't come into play tapped. So you can start using it straight away, and you can start using it to generate colourless mana. But if you want to remove that charge counter from Tendo Ice Bridge, you can. And it gives you 1 mana of any colour to adds it to your mana pool. So obviously here you would want green mana, maybe, if you don't have much green out or any green to cast your Viridian Shaman, which only needs 1 green anyway, so it's pretty handy. And there's 2 copies of these. Fortunately, it's not a legendary land. It doesn't go away when you remove the charge counter, like some counter lands. It doesn't blow up, or say, when you have no charge counters, it goes to the graveyard. So on the sorcery side of things, we got 3 sorceries in the form of Night's Whisper. So 1 in a black, you draw 2 cards, and you lose 2 life. So yeah, that's how we're getting card draw in this deck. So if you've been sort of following the set symbols, you'll probably see that we do indeed, I think, have a card from each of the sets. So we got first block from, so this is Dark Steel, which is the Mirrodin block. Then we've got Saviours of Kamigawa, Betrayers of Kamigawa, Champions of Kamigawa. Okay, so that's the 3 from the Kamigawa block. A 9th edition card, so that's our current core set. Another Dark Steel, which we already have, another 9th edition. There's our second Mirrodin card from Mirrodin itself. So all we're looking for now is 5th Dawn. Now, is that going to be in the sideboard? It probably is, isn't it? If indeed. So 9th, Betrayers of Kamigawa. So yeah, I jumped the gun there a bit, and I believe the 5th edition card. Oh no, there it is. No, there we go. Sorry, I didn't jump the gun. So yeah, 5th edition. Fifth, not 5th edition. What's it called? 5th Dawn. That's it. 5th Dawn. 5th edition. What would 5th edition be doing in there? Yeah, 5th Dawn. So yeah, that's all of the. At least 1 card from each of the sets. Cool. In the main board. We haven't had to go into the sideboard yet. Right. So we got an extra copy of Pithing Needle, which we've already seen. There's 4 copies of Distress, which is another hand disruption card, but it specifically targets non-land cards. And that player discards the card. It's 2 black for that. Another copy of Hypnotic Specter. Interestingly, there's 2 copies of Sword of Light and Shadow. And that gives a equipped creature +2/+2, has protection from white and from black. And whenever a equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you gain 3 life, and you may return up to 1 target creature card from your graveyard to your hand, equipped for 2. An extra copy of Viridian Shaman, should we need it. There's 3 copies of Cranial Extraction in here. So you get to name a non-land card, search target player's graveyard, hand, and library for all cards with that name, and remove them from the game. Then that player shuffles his or her library. So yeah, another way of dealing with problem cards in an opponent's well, actually it's interesting, is it, because it says search target player's graveyard, hand or library for all cards with that name. I was trying to think of an instant where you would want to target yourself and exile something. So here's a good question. You remember the set where there was a set, wasn't there? There was some sort of return to like Eldrazi themed set late on, where you could interact with the exile zone. Did this card, in combination with one or several of cards from that era, cause some breakage in Eternal format? So I'd be curious to know. I know I've got a few people that watch the channel that are really interested in Eternal format. So there's another good question: is Cranial Extraction, did things go awry when we get, whatever set it was, which I just can't remember, but yeah, there was a set, wasn't there, where there was Eldrazi creatures. I think it had Devoid in it as well, but there was an increased ability to, or suddenly there were ways of interacting with cards in the exile zone. So yeah, I'd be curious to know if this suddenly became an Eternal All-Star in a certain, for a certain type of deck, in either modern or in any, and other vintage or legacy or something like that. And we got 3 Razormane Masticores, 5 to cast. First strike. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice Razormane Masticore unless you discard a card from your hand. At the beginning of your draw step, you may have a Razormane Masticore deal 3 damage to target creature. It's a 5/5 for 5. So there's an upkeep cost there for you, and you have to start discarding stuff. And there's ways here, isn't there, of getting stuff back? Yeah, but creature cards, because of Sword of Light and Shadow. So obviously, there's cards in here which are, increasing the number of cards in the main board in response to certain, matchups. But then you've got certain cards which aren't in the main board, which are specifically to target certain types of deck. So it's always, this is a cool deck actually, just looking at it. Okay, there's our swamps from 9th edition. So we've both got black border and white bordered versions. Yeah, definitely some classic stuff here, like this one. Yeah. Okay, Blinkmoth Nexus. We have looked at this before, but let's just see. So creature land, tribal Blinkmoth gains flying. What do we want to look at? If there is anything. We'll just do a quick count here. So we got 46 creature lands. So it always feels to me that there's a lot more creature lands than it turns out. I think there is now. Obviously we've looked at this before, but I always assume that not everybody has maybe watched previous episodes. We always get new people watching this. So I will just do a quick go through here just so you can see and remind yourself. Very nice artwork here, I think. So for me, like when I think of these sort of cards, what when did I first come across it? Well, it would have been here. It would have been World Wake. And then slowly I became aware of other stuff. So I'm not too sure how far down it was. I think probably I'd got to this point and, Inkmoth Nexus was around because of Mirrodin Besieged. And then between that and Battle for Zendikar, I would have started becoming aware of this sort of stuff. Also, these were pre-printed. Yeah, thinking about it, these were reprinted in 10th, so I would have seen these first, actually. Yeah. I would have seen these in 10th. Thinking about it. So, yeah, the 10th edition version of these. Is it 10th? Yeah. And if you look here, you can see, yeah, so originally from Urza's, and a few of them, you know, crop up more than others in certain sets. Yeah, so, you know, they are, they've been reprinted a few times, and some more than others. There's that interesting one from Judgment. There's our one. And Mutavault, that was that reprinted in, yeah, Magic 2014. I love it when they sort of take these, you know, cards like Mutavault, and suddenly out of the blue they just appear in a cool set. Yeah. Well, this one, like Zoetic Cavern, suddenly sort of crops up in there. It's in Future Sight, and it's in the Commander product. Awesome. I don't know, is there anything else I want to talk about there? I mean, as we know, yeah, not much tribal Blinkmoth, really. Although Blinkmoth Nexus, that does do Blinkmoth artifacts. So I'm never sure why that's never included as well. Okay, there's our Llanowar Wastes. There's Apocalypse. So yeah, turned up, you can see here a few times. Got reprinted in 10th. Was in Apocalypse 9th edition, 10th edition, M15. Magic Origins. So would I be right in saying that up to this point you basically saw it when it was reprinted in a core set? Because Origins sort of counts as a core set, doesn't it, really? Wow. Okay. Moving on. Yeah, I'm sure we've come across this. This was this cycle of legendary lands, of which, yeah, only, yeah, looks like that's the only one that's been reprinted. And I know I looked at these the previous week, actually. Synergy with Legends is a thing which we've looked at. Classed as a utility land, of which there are many utility lands. Has alliteration. Gives fear, yeah. Okay, 24. Oh, that's cool. So 24 things that give fear. Well, looks like something I haven't looked at. Where are we? Let's make sure I get this right. Oh, fear gives fear, not surprisingly. Ebony Charm. Oh yeah. It's a bit of a late heads up now, but I think this might be possibly a long video. I am really enjoying myself here. This is excellent. Look at all these. Smogsteed Rider. Leaper's Robe. Wow. Oh, these Lycids. Yeah. Yeah, we've looked at, we definitely looked at this cycle before. Probably maybe outside of this series. What's the just wondering whether back in the day there was alternate artwork for that. That's Ice Age version. Oh no, my wardrobe's full of skulls. Is that a rabbit? Oh, that's funny. I hadn't spotted that. Oh, that's really amusing. That's a rabbit, isn't it? You're running away from a rabbit. It's a wolf. Oh, what's that will be? Oh, God. Oh, it's one of those one-eyed ogres. Was it Minotaur? Yeah, I'm not very good sometimes with remembering the names of mythical beasts. There's a bear and spider. Rather weird looking spider. Looks like he's got a hat on or something. Oh, that is amusing. Okay. Give sphere. So, yeah, good old charms. Shriek at the Dead. So yeah, you can see here we've got a few from, actually that set specifically, haven't we, from Champions of Kamigawa. And there's a Betrayers one here which has, where's it gone? Oh, that's right, these guy counters. That was a thing. And we got Profane Command. Yeah, the commands from Lorwyn. So here we get to choose two. Target player loses X life, or return target creature card with converted mana cost X or less from your graveyard to play, or target creature gets -X until end of turn, or up to X target creatures gain fear until end of turn. And then there's our cycle. Not surprisingly, they've all been reprinted to some degree. So yeah, Austere Command, Cryptic Command, Incendiary Command, Primal Command, and Profane. And you can see the format now is slightly different, like laid out a lot more like the the modal cards that we're used to. Tendo Ice Bridge, okay. I know we've looked at this before. So, similar to Aether Hub, which does some shenanigans with energy counters, and similar to Goldmine. Okay. But, this whole thing with counters, as we've looked at, it is an interesting way of having land cards where you can sort of control the amount of fixing to some degree that it's capable of doing, so it doesn't become super broken. However, of course, if you've got ways in your deck of improving the number of charge counters on there, then yeah, there's ways of breaking them to your advantage. So there's quite a number of different cards beyond this, ones that are similar to it as well. So, Aether Vial. Sneak creature. So yeah, sneaking into play. So put a permanent from your hand onto the battlefield with or without a requirement to sacrifice it later. And I know I believe we've been down here. Yeah, we have. For the benefit of maybe people who haven't seen previous episodes, let's just have a quick look at this, which again could turn into a long look as I go, oh yeah, that card. Now we got Eureka. Triassic Egg, wow. Oh yeah, didgeridoo. So this was the one for Minotaurs. Oh, that's what, yeah, that's a Minotaur, that's it, yeah. Yeah, that's what a Minotaur looks like. It's coming back to me now. So the question is, does a one-eyed ogre have a specific name? Or is it just a one-eyed ogre? Spatula of the Ages, oh dear. So it's things like, Sneak Attack, Show and Tell, Academy Researchers, all can be used. Goblin Lackey can all be used to sneak certain things into play. Again, some of these might have conditions on them. As I think it alluded to, some of them, stuff gets sort of blown up. May or may not get blown up later. And, again, you can see how cards like this can be problematic. Obviously, hopefully, in a well-designed set, any card that sneaks anything into play, hopefully is tested within the confines of a set. One would hope that, because it's so open for serious, the development of some seriously egregious plays. But I think the main problem with a lot of these, I think, from my own perspective, is once you get other cards printed, or it moves out, and or use in eternal formats, then it's like, well, there's all these loads and loads of different really interesting interactions as well. You can see things like Tooth and Nail, And a number of these you straight away recognise these from their namesakes in certain decks as well. So yeah. And then of course the whole ninjutsu thing was part of it, as I know we looked at previously. Yeah, like I said, I was going to take a quick look at this, but it's turned into a long look because, yeah, I've been entranced by the shiny stuff or the cool stuff. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I'd forgotten about this one from Modern Horizons 2. Dakon Shadow Slayer. Legendary Planeswalker. So then, now I'm very curious, because if I was to say... I'm glad I did bother with this actually. What we got? So there's Myojin, Hyga, Ink Eyes. Mishra does... Okay, that's not... That's the same name, isn't it? Yeah. Johori, Warrior. Kalia does what? Angel, demons or dragons from your hand. Bruno attaches auras. Of course, Nahiri. Yeah, was equipment. Oh yeah, the dragon that did. Whenever one or more dragons you control attack, draw that many cards, then you may put a permanent card. Okay, so that did permanent. Right. I was curious if there was a version of Dakon that wasn't a Planeswalker, but that had the same effect on it. But, okay. Oh, good old Chittering Rats. Alright. It's funny. Yeah, look at all the stuff in the background. Discard to library. Okay. Yeah. Put cards from your hand back into your library. No doubt, yeah, this is something we've definitely looked at before, but what the hell? I'm always seem to be attracted by anything that has world in it, like World Purge or World Slayer, and just looking to see what sort of, across the board stuff is going on. Like, things that just massively blow up the board state is always cool to see. We've got Jace, the Mind Sculptor, from World Wake. How much is that now? $26. not sure if I've ever pulled this version of Jace anyway. Yeah, I remember this being a real big deal at the time. And the other thing that was funny was this was around, so was it sometime after this, I think I'm right on this, was when the very first Deck Builders Toolkit came out. And the composition of the boosters was a little bit odd. Some of the early ones had, I think they had Conflux packs in them, maybe. But I do remember there was a chance that you could get world weight packs. So it was that big thing, like, wow, you know, I bought this Deck Builders Toolkit and I've got a world weight pack in it and I've pulled a Jace the Mind Sculptor. I remember people getting really excited about that. And, you know, there was a bit of a thing as well about Deck Builders Toolkits around where I was and the card store I was going to. And people got quite excited when, say, you know, some Deck Builders Toolkits would suddenly turn up at Walmart or something, and there'd be this thing, people would like go over and buy them because they, you know, there was a chance there might be some world weight packs in it. So that always makes me think of that. It's funny, isn't it, when you get that period where people just go crazy for certain supplemental product because there's this like real slim chance that it's got certain packs in it, and yeah, you might stand a chance of opening them. Hypnotic Specter, 9th edition. Let's look at all the different things here, see what we've got. I think there's only ever been a couple of pieces. So this is the original one with the Spectre-like knight, and then here we have the this version, which was that first appeared. So there's anthologies. So what do? We jump from 4th to 9th. They stick it in 9th. They stick it in 10th. It's in M10 as well, and then that's it. I'm probably going to have a look at was it 2/2 flyers for 3 in black, just see what's going on. I'm sure I've looked at it before. So commonly nicknamed, discard on there, evasion, this saboteur thing, which is affects the trigger when you deal combat damage to opponent. So anything that gets triggered when you deal combat damage is a saboteur card, and this particular saboteur card, it causes discard. It is random. You don't get to choose. You don't get to choose what card your opponent discards it at random. So they don't. You don't choose. They don't choose. Yeah. And it's discard into your graveyard. And the Spectre. Zyru Spectre. Okay, so let's just go into here, and we want. I mean, in some ways, actually, just spectres. So let's look at a number of different things here. So if we just do type Spectre, let's just look. Yeah, so this is something I have looked at before. Just see what we commonly see when we look at spectres. So there's 26 spectres in Magic, and I don't think they've been sort of reclassified. No, they haven't. So you can normally tell if a creature type's been reclassified because you suddenly you stop seeing it. but generally a lot of the ones where it's you know, had a different creature type, it mainly because of just the way cards were named originally, there's, you know, there's a problem with it, and it's either been more specific, or maybe I noticed, what was it? There's one card from way back that references falcons, and that's a bit too niche, so now it's got errated to be birds. There's those sort of things as well that happen. Yeah, so Hypnotic Specter, Abyssal Specter. Yeah, so it looks like, are these all triggered off a combat damage? Or sorry, dealing damage. Damage is hang on. An opponent damaged by Spectre. So yeah, it's triggering off damage to an opponent. Okay. Damages a player. Okay, with Dread Spectre, blocks or is blocked by a creature, destroy that creature at the end of turn. Okay, so a bit of a variation there. Combat damage to a player. Combat damage to a player. Player. Okay, here's one whenever it attacks. So there's a little bit of wiggle room there, but a lot of them are combat damage to a player, aren't they? Yeah. This is really weird artwork. I mean, not weird in a bad way, but just, yeah, interesting, I think, is, yeah. What are these? It's got earth on it as well. And there's Llanowar Spectre. Whispering Spectre. This is the one with Infect on. This is pretty interesting. Yeah, when we were talking about the original, like, No Hand, No Land deck from that series, someone had a real cool comment they put. They were talking about a deck they'd build, and they were mentioning about, like, putting in a Whispering Spectre and sort of turning into this sort of infect aspect as well. Yeah, so fun with spectres is a thing. Yeah, Saboteur. Alright. Moving on. Inkai's Servant of Oni. Yeah, so lots of stuff that, yeah, this is the one I remember from a previous week. So we got Sneak and Sneak Self. It's got Saboteur on it as well. So Sneaky Saboteur. It's got Regeneration. It's yeah, reanimate creature, tag on it. Lots going on. And because you got this ninjutsu, which is where your sneaky things coming from, your sneak, and then we've got this other part here, dealing combat damage to a player. So saboteur, but then the action is that it regenerates a creature. So yeah, lots of levels to this card. Similar to Specule Primordial, 5 and 2 black with Intimidate. It's also a 5/4. And Tariel Reckoner of Souls. Nekrataal. Removal creature destroy. Virtual legendary. What's this? Referenced by Nekrataal Avatar. Nightshade Assassin. So removal creature destroy on a creature. I bet, yeah, we must have looked at this before quite a few times. There we go, yeah. What I want to know is what ones do it when they enter the battlefield. Just have a look. Comes into play. What's the correct term for that? Do that. So yeah, creatures that blow things up when they enter the battlefield. Okay, so Knight of the Mists, Ovinomancer, yeah, remembering this, Nekrataal, Serpent Assassin, Dark Hatchling, yeah, Bone Shredder, oh yeah. Yeah. This is really specific. Tivadar of Thorn, 1 and 2 white, 2/2, first strike protection red. When it comes into play, destroy target goblin. I'm pretty sure, didn't I pull this in a flipping, there's a couple of times, maybe at least once, where I've actually got a legendary creature in a pack of Dollarama repacks, and I think this might be one time I got this. Yeah, and yeah, this is the one I tend to think of because whenever I see, you know, I don't know, Commander throw EDH lists, you know, if you're playing in black, what, you know, I hesitate to use the term auto-include, but you know what I mean. What if you're trying to work out what are you missing in a deck, and you've got from some slots, you know, Shriek more if you're playing black comes up quite a bit, and the reason here is because of this evoke thing, which makes it so flexible, because you can choose just to have the ETB effect by having the evoke and then the creature goes away, or you can choose to have the creature as well. It also has fear on it as well. But, you know, if you go down the Nekrataal route, which is 2 and 2 black, so 2/1 with first strike, you know, you don't have the option for that lower casting cost if you just wanted the destroying target non-artifact, non-black creature through the evoke thing. So it's 4 and a black for 3/2 with fear if you're just casting it to have the creature, and this is 2 and 2 black for 2/1 with first strike. And then you can see, you know, you've got Nekrataal, you've got Dark Hatchling, which is 4 and 2 black for 3/3 with flying. But yeah, there's no mention on here of having to be a non-artifact. It's just a non-black creature, and it can't be regenerated. And then Bone Shredder is a lot cheaper, but of course it's got this echo cost. So it goes away if you don't pay the echo cost. And then you've got stuff like this with the, you know, the kicker costs on them. That, not surprisingly, it'll be the kicker cost. Yeah, the one, well, these two. It's the black. What does this? What happens with this one? Okay. Oh, it's a green. Yeah, that's why that's there, because it's a green one, and it's specific to flying creatures. Okay. Yeah. Makes sense. Oh yeah, Angel of Despair destroys a target permanent. And there's Heartstone Mosquito. Again, he uses Kicker. Oh. Shadowborn Demon. Yeah, Ravenous Chupacabra. 2 and 2 black, 2/2. Into the battlefield, destroy target creature opponent controls. So it's not, that one's not conditional in terms of, you know, being non-black, non-artifact, but it's a higher cost. So that's an interesting alternative. Manticores, interesting. What's the most modern thing? Dalek drone. Yeah, cool. Oh, Nezumi Shortfang. Oh yeah, this is the one that flips into a legendary. Yeah, so no doubt there was a number of these cycles which we've seen already as we've spoken. Some of them, so these ones you can see here, yeah, they've been reprinted. When they reprinted them, they opted to move the set symbol up to here rather than have it down the bottom. So the green one's been reprinted. Rack effect. Players get... Oh, okay. Ah, cool. Rack effects. Have we spoken about rack effects yet? I'm not sure. Oh, yeah. That's the good thing with this. I must always remember never to clear the cache on this particular instance of this Chrome browser, because it is really helpful for me knowing if, yeah, we've been here before. And obviously, as we get through more and more sets, that's going to be more and more likely. And I've got to come up with ingenious ways of getting around that. And trying to remember, when was the last time I spoke about it? Because I'm, initially I was going to sort of take this series up to around M10, so it's synchronized with other things. But I'm just going to keep press on until the wheels fall off of it, really, because there's so many tournament decks, that occurred, or I remember seeing from when I got into Magic, which is 10th edition onwards, that I just really want to have a look at again. And so I'm just going to carry on until the wheels fall off of it. And we're getting so much repetition, it gets ridiculous. But I'm sure I can find ways of even stuff we've done before adding a new twist. But that's cool. It must have been a while since we've talked about rack effects, I reckon. Yeah, the rack and rackling, probably the two that I recognise most, just from seeing these cards. I'm just trying to think, when would I have really been made aware of that? Well, there's just not that many, is there? I mean, there's Hellfire Mongrel from Zendikar, Shrieking Affliction from Return to Ravnica, and this from War of the Spark, yeah. If an opponent has fewer than 3 cards in hand during his or her upkeep, the rack does 1 damage to an opponent for each card fewer than 3. And then Rackling, which is a creature as opposed to just in this case, a continuous artifact, which just became an artifact. So Rackling, 4-drop, so 2/2. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, Rackling deals X damage to that player, where X is the number of cards in his or her hand fewer than 3. There's Lavaborn Muse. Was it Lavaborn Muse yeah, okay. So it was reprinted in 10th. I'm thinking, yeah, maybe I recognise that. I keep forgetting about reprints. So yeah, 10th edition. I wonder if I do have a copy of that. It was a rare. But I did open quite a few 10th. I've opened quite a few 10th edition packs over the years. So there's our friend. Yeah. Shrieking Affliction. Okay. Yeah, these were interesting planeswalkers, weren't they? Just generally, you know, where they were printing planeswalkers at uncommon, and they had the, you know, obviously the loyalty counter, but there was no way in the card of necessarily increasing the loyalty counters. So you had this sort of repeating spell effect, which eventually would go away when you got below. But of course you could use tricks like Proliferate, I suppose, to buff up or increase this outside of the card. But yeah, they were interesting cards. Generally they had this thing where, you know, they had an effect on them, like a static effect that happened, but also there was something else that you could do, but it would obviously reduce your loyalty counters or the loyalty counters on the Planeswalker. So yeah, I thought they were pretty interesting when they appeared. There's quite several of them that look really interesting for, you know, use in Commander, I think. Night's Whisper, 2 cards, lose 2 life. So yeah, that's does that have a name to it? Life payment. So yeah, I was thinking of, when I saw that, I couldn't remember what I was thinking of, but yeah, Signing Blood. So this is 1 and a black. This is 2 black. It's also at sorcery speed. And then we got Succumb to Temptation, which is 1 and 2 black at instant speed. But Signing Blood, how many times is that? Oh, it's also on Felstinger, stapled to it. So I'm curious, what sort of reprint where have we seen it reprinted? So M10. Okay. Garrick, Arch Enemy, M11. So M10, M11. Commander 2011, M13, M15, more Commander stuff. Set wise, has it sort of disappeared from use? Yeah. But yeah, it's certainly useful in as you can see here, it's turned up in a Commander product. We go back a bit further, you can see there it was in Arch Enemy. So yeah. Anything else? Let's go back. Moriok Replica. 3 to cast, 2/2, 1 on the back, sacrifice it. You draw 2 cards. Okay. It gives you a bit more utility in affinity build and like Metalcraft build. Oh yeah, Metal Spinner's Puzzle Knot. So this is Night Whispers we're looking at again, which is the original card. So that then begs the question, what about the whole draw lose thing? I mean, I don't know if there's one here with you lose the game. Well, I suppose there's some. Maybe there's some. If I did what's the one where you do? It includes like the reminder text, where it's like, you know, if you draw on a empty library, you lose the game. But I don't think there's any. Is there likely to be any win condition or win condition that have that rolled up? Oh, okay. That's Curse of Vengeance triggers off an enchanted player losing the game. Okay. Oh. I wasn't expecting that. That's an interesting rabbit hole to go down. So cards that have draw, lose, and game on them somewhere. So yeah, this is an interesting modal spell. Demonic Pact from Magic Origins. So we've got, at the beginning of your upkeep, choose one that hasn't been chosen. Oh, okay. Deal 4 damage to target creature or player. You gain 4 life. Target opponent draws 2 cards. Draw 2 cards, or you lose the game. It's not good. There's Leash. Let me try and put this into some sort of... oh. It's first printing by... That's better. Nefarious Leash. Leash is mirrored. So clearly a leashy thing to have that combination of stuff. If you would lose the game. Yeah, so a number of different sort of configurations here with that combination of things. Sign in Blood, which we looked at, which is that. Pithing Needle. Banned in Brawl. Yeah. Foe Targeting. That's interesting. Okay. Have we? Yes, we have. That's really what was the first card. Oh, so Black Vise, Viridian. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, the rack ones as well. Foe Targeting. Yeah, you can see it. It's not specifically like target creeds. It's quite vague, artfully vague. Choose another player. So yeah, all broad. Necro-Impotence. There's Pithing Needle, Spectral Searchlight. Viridian Shapeshifter. Oh yes, Peripheral Nodes. This was one of the earliest episodes, I think, of Commander Fodder Stroke Durdle I did. At the beginning of your upkeep, destroy the creature with the least power. It can't be regenerated. If 2 or more creatures are tied for least power, you choose one of them. When there are no creatures in play, sacrifice Peripheral Nodes. Periphery nodes, yeah, periphery nodes. Dear me. Sewer Nemesis, lovely. Oh, and the ultimatums. Oh yeah, I remember this. Yeah, True Name Nemesis. When that was printed. Was that the problem? That was probably the time when I had problems getting hold of all 5 decks. I went over to just buying them as a job lot instead of just, slow rolling them. Cool. Okay, Ravenous Rats. Burglar Rat. Elderfang Discipline. It's not a rat. Nezumi Informant, which is a rat rogue. And similar to Corrupt Court Official. So all of these for all of these, it's actually worse than, yeah, these ones. That's each opponent, isn't it? Oh, Rend Flesh. H tribal non-spirit. Removal creature destroy. So if I do that, but then do non, is that going to work? Probably going to get a mixed bag of stuff here because it might be non something for a different reason. So I'm basically looking where it says non and then a type of creature. And it's also destruction. And I think I mentioned if we order these correctly and oh, I didn't put that in, never mind. Let's do it again and try and remember this time. It's first printing. There we go. It's a bit easier to find it now, what I was looking for. So, yeah, Norrit, but what did I mention? Eye Blight's ending. So, yeah, I made a mistake there, didn't I? I thought it was a green card as well, but it's not. But, yeah, this destroy target non-elf creature. And also, there was one I had in the back of my mind, which is Victim of Night from Innistrad. There's Shadowborn Demon again. This as well, version of Mykias. Oh, there's Gelatinous Cube. Exile target non-ooze creature. Power word kill. So destroy target non-angel, non-demon, non-devil, non-dragon creature. Walk the plank is non-merfolk creature. Non-Gorgon. So yeah, you can see how these might be useful in certain matchups where you know the person's probably not going to be playing a Gorgon. Yeah. A non-zombie creature. Non-wall's pretty interesting. I don't know how many times that's come up. I'm just blowing up a non-wall. Ah, yeah, we have looked at this before. Banned in Modern. Yep, Saboteur, life gain on there, removal creature toughness. Yep, it's on there. But yeah, we looked at this in the last few weeks, so I won't spend too long on it. What's that? Oh yeah, okay. Let's just refresh ourselves as to the price there, and maybe the amount of times it's been printed. Yeah, $14 for a Grand Prix promo. Is that the only way in paper you're going to get the other one? Because that would be Magic the Online promos. Not sure what context that was printed in. There's this one, which is what, the Secret Lair drop. Okay. Viridian Shaman, namesake of the deck. So yeah, you know, printed. So first in Mirrodin, 9th edition. So this is one of the cards I was talking about, which is, you know, effectively as both versions of it, both artwork, both sets would be in standard. So 9th and Mirrodin, I went for this one. So we would have a Meridian card in the deck, or standard chance for everyone. Yeah, 10th edition is probably where I remember from it. And then did crop up in Commander 2015. There's a black border version in 9th. Oh yeah, that's right, it was in the Elves versus Inventors deck. And if we look at it, then you probably sort of guess the sort of thing it's going to mention. So, removal, artifact, destroy. Oktabi Orangutan. So yeah, that's this thing. That's just so 2 and a green for a 2/2. Similar to this because, yeah, 2 and a green for a 2/2. It's from 5th. Also Reclamation Sage. So 2 and a green for a 2/1. But it can do artifacts or enchantments. And then it was also colour shifted Manic Vandal. So 2 and a red for a 2/2. Destroys target artifact. That's M12. And then it's this is the version where it's not on a the verdigris, so without a body. It's an instant, 2 and a green, destroy target artifact. And yeah, the whole removal artifact destroy thing, yeah, comes up a lot all over the place. Stapled to like lots of different creatures of varying sizes and other abilities, but also you know, no surprise, and you can see here I've been through all the different connotations. So you know, there's creature versions of it. There's where it's, let me actually do it first printing so maybe we can see this a little bit better. I hate it whenever that happens. Come on. Yeah. Ah, yeah. That's the only reason I did it. So my friends can appear again. Timorran Fiends. 54 cents. I've got to do it one day. Pretty sure I don't have that card. Oh, and Joven, of course, yeah. Was it Vince Neil from Motley Crue? Yeah, there's Oktabi. But yeah, it's on quite a number of different things. In terms of that, what I was just curious about is, and you probably know what's going to appear. So if we do, is, hang on. Oh, my mistake. Did it to the wrong thing. So yeah, instance. That's what I was trying to do. Yep, disenchant, shadow, crumble. There's verdigris. So what's the first? So with crumble, destroy target artifact. Creatures may not regenerate. Artifacts controlled against life. Okay, so yeah, I see why they're pointing to that one. And there's naturalize. That does artifacts or enchantments. You got Crows and Grip, Moulder. I mean, in terms of instant speed, so Oracle doesn't do enchantment. There we go. So yeah, things like shattering products. So clearly you can see, I mean, as we go through here, there's a lot of red. And yeah, a lot of things that just do it because they destroy a permanent. I think if we were after something that's specifically named artifacts, we end up with 48 cards, of which it looks like the majority are red or some combination thereof. I spotted something there. Was it oxidize? I think I saw. Yeah, single green. Destroy target artifact. It can't be regenerated. I'm wondering how. So now we've got it a bit more specific. Yeah, so a number of sorceries there. And so there's a green one there. But yeah, much sorcery speed, many more reds there. In terms of creatures that just specifically do that, what do we got? 64. And there's our Viridian Shaman. Yeah, also Glister Sunseeker had this interesting ability on it from the set. And it's no surprise to see, generally we're seeing a number of different variants of that in the block, of both Mirrodin and Kamigawa block. And you've got things like Ingotture. That's pretty interesting because it's got that evoke on it. So you can choose to have the creature and get the destroy, or just have the destroy. And other things like Deep Fire Elemental. So yeah, some interesting ones for your elemental decks here as well, that will do double duty, blowing up artifacts or lands. Oh, there's, yeah, Oxida Scrap Melter, of course, because then we've got Scars of Mirrodin. Cranial Extraction. Weaker, yeah, we pointed this out in a previous episode, didn't we? Weaker in singleton formats. We got Memoricide. We've got Necromentia and Lobotomy. So cards which exile all cards of a particular name from a player's hand, library, or graveyard. Yep. And as I've said, something we have had a look at before because of that card. But I'll just do a quick scroll through. So, may bring back memories of having it played against you in certain formats. Oh, that was it, Surgical Extraction. Because that one was interesting. So instant speed, and you could choose to play with it with 2 life. And of course these cards were interesting because in, like, not in Commander, but in, you know, in formats where, you know, the colour identity of a card doesn't matter. All that matters is whether you can cast it or not. It could go, if you were prepared to pay 2 life, it could go in a deck which didn't generate any black mana. So it certainly makes it, you know, the very least, at that period in Standard, or any other format you could play. An interesting sideboard card. Yeah, if you want something to do with a combo piece. Distress. Yes. And yeah, another card where there's been various variations of this sort of thing. And yeah, here it's mentioning Thoughtseize, and it's actually keyworded in the database. So we'll have a look at that. We've got Worse Than Pilfer. Okay. What's the problem? Oh, so yeah, this is double black. This is, so Pilfer's 1 and a black. And then Viridian Gilmer. So let's look at Thoughtseize. Yeah, opponent reveals their hand. You choose a card for them to discard. And if we look at this, that sort of thing starts off with Extract Sigil and Mind Warp, cards like that. You've got obviously Duress, which I think a lot of people are probably familiar with, and has been, or appears in a number of different sets over the years. And certainly, if we go back, yeah, I remember it from M10. You got things like Ostracize and Encroach, and yeah, a lot of these cards, there's a bit of a variation on them. Yeah, it's on Doomsday Spectre, Mesmeric Fiend, and the list goes on. There's Hollow Spectre there, Pulse of the Dross, Shattered Dreams, which does artifacts. There's a Castigate, which is a white-black card, and that actually exiles it. Because I think the one we looked at, yeah, it's just discarding it. There's a Venerian Glimmer. Although not marked up, I suppose, yeah, because it could be in blue, so there's not a problem there. I was half expecting... I can't even tell. Sometimes I look at these, I don't think that's colour shifted, because the blue here would be darker blue, wouldn't it? So yeah. Oh, it's Noggin Whack. Tidal Sky, yeah. I'm recognising quite a few of these. There's Despise. Appetite for Brains. Thought Not Seer, remember that? Mask. So there, yeah, I think I skipped over it, but there's Thoughtseize there. Single black, target player reveals his or her hand. You choose an on-lane card from it. That player discards that card. No doubt when we get up to Lorwyn era, we're going to see this turn up in tournament decks. Okay, Razormane, Manticore, Fifth Dawn, yeah, 10th edition. Yeah. I mean, drawback's been a thing throughout Magic's history. Takes lots of different forms, and again, something we have looked at before. But you know, way back, there's a lot of removal things where there's like a downside to it. You know, your opponent might get something in addition. So yeah, of course it's a good way of trying to balance out some sort of powerful effect, where if you didn't, it might be a bit too powerful. So yeah, you've got a 5/5 for 5 with first strike. So yeah, it's got to have a downside really. And it's got this 3 damage to target creature. So if you can imagine that in as well, like affinity. Gentle Masticore. Okay. Last thing then. Sword of Light and Shadow. Yeah. These have lots of those. These are really interesting. So this one's got lots of different stuff on it. Saboteur, evasion, basically hate against various parts of the magic colour pie. Life gain, regrowth. And there we have our swords of X and Y. If we go out here, and again something I've looked at before, but so there we go. And maybe we do that by release date. Ascending. So there's Fire and Ice, Light and Shadow, and then one printed in Scars, another one in Mirrodin Besieged, and then third one in Euphyrexia. So the first 2 here we've got Darksteel. But as I think I've pointed out before, that combination of sword of and then with the and in there, see what happens. Oops. Yeah, you got a few more here. So Sword of Sinew and Steel, Truth and Justice, Hearth and Home, Forge and Frontier, Once and Future, and these are from Modern Horizons. Is that 1? Yeah, original, and 2, and also Phyrexia will be 1, March of the Machines. So they staggered that out as well by the look of things. And then if we just lose this, there's probably a number of other cards which were Swords of something, yeah. Swords of the Ages, Swords of the Chosen, then there's the part of that, I think it was other Caldra stuff, then our stuff we've just been looking at, and then we got these Sword of the Parons, so the not and swords, I suppose you could say. Very Boolean, yeah, not and swords. So in fact I can do that kind of, if I do minus name, and we can just get those. It makes life a bit easier. So 11 of those, which are of swords, but they're not and swords. Oh dear, I managed to squeeze a bit of coding references in there. That was interesting, wasn't it? At this point, like, you've got, did they class that as what do they call it? Was it pseudo equipment? No, it doesn't say that. It's classed as a shade pump. But I don't know, it just has a bit of an equipment feel to me. Okay, so there we have it. Hopefully you enjoyed that as much as I did making it. That was super interesting. So yeah, what have we got to look forward to? A smaller card pool next week. So we've got to try and this hopefully will be interesting, because if you remember, the Worlds was moved later, so it'll be interesting to see the format and what I can pull from, because up till now, when we've tended to be doing the first set of a new block and I've been featuring it, I've tended to have to fall back to theme decks, just because at that point a lot of the formats for the tournaments were like draft. So yeah, it's going to be cool to see what I can come up with in terms of 2005 World Championship decks. And also I think at this point there wasn't any World Championship decks that Wizards released, so I'd be interested to see what formats there were and what I can pull up in terms of trying to find something that had a mixture of this particular makeup. So thanks once again for watching. Bye for now, and I will catch you in a future episode.